Have you ever looked in the mirror and picked yourself apart? Thinking if your nose was a bit better, if your skin was a bit smoother, if your body was perfect. Well, you are not alone, and it's time we talk about this. Hello my beautiful soul, welcome and welcome back to my channel, Goddess Glow Up. A channel where there's peace, harmony, love, empowerment and healing through the art of makeup. A place where womanhood and femininity feel safe and glamorous. And let's go deeper than skin today, because the real glow starts in the soul. I wanted to keep this video very personal and raw today, addressing the biggest insecurities that we feel. And now pay attention. I didn't say the insecurities that we have. We don't have any insecurities, we feel them. It's not that necessarily I've got certain kind of nose, I've got certain kind of cheekbones, I've got certain kind of body color, whatever. It's just we all feel these things that we have. Our perspective is what makes us feel what we feel. We only have something until we address it. And let's talk about the biggest insecurities women feel. And I am guilty of that too myself. So I just used ISO Skin Soothe, Restore and Protect. This is brilliant. Hypochlorous spray. Because I already done my skincare, I went and dropped my kids to school. I just wanted my skin to refresh again. And this one obviously kills bacteria, any build-up. So I really enjoy using this spray. Okay, so I'm going to use my NARS color corrector, Radiant Creamy Color Corrector. Okay, just underneath my eyes where I have discoloration. And again, you know, all this that we talk about, discoloration, hyperpigmentation, spots, age spots, sunspots, wrinkles, fine lines, where does it all come from? Have you ever thought about that?
Where does it all come from?
So let's talk about the first insecurity that we feel. You feel too fat. You feel too thin. Don't have hourglass figure. You feel fat in certain places. You feel a bit too skinny in certain places. Where does it all come from? Were you born with this insecurity? When you were little, did you even ever wonder that, oh, you're fat, you're skinny, you're thin, you're big, you're whatever size, shape? Did it ever occur to you that you should be a certain way? You never felt anything. It's only when people addressed it, when people commented on it, your brain started to work. Like, ooh, probably. Ooh, am I too fat? Ooh, am I too skinny? Ooh, do I look good? You don't compare yourself to somebody else until somebody says it to you. Then your mind starts thinking, oh, and what is too fat? What is too thin? What is too skinny? What is too fair? What is too dark? What is beauty? What is a perfect body? It's basically all down to the perception you have for yourself and the perception you have of others. A woman with a slim body isn't necessarily fit and healthy, or the other way around. What we think of us in our minds is what actually how our body reacts to it. Okay, so now I'm going to use this Good Apple Skin Perfecting Foundation Balm. I honestly, look at this. I am loving this foundation. When I got this, I thought it's a full coverage foundation. I think I'm only going to be using it in winter, but this is absolutely stunning foundation. Look how much I've used it. It's more than a year old and yeah, it's still going strong. You only need tiny bit, and you can't even honestly imagine. It's 30 degrees here in the UK, but still this foundation lasts you the whole day without smudging, without going cake, without melting on my skin. This lasts you a very long time, and this stays on all day long. If you're looking for something which you can apply with minimum effort and get a really good, beautiful glow, this is it. I've got oily skin, that's a cream foundation, but somehow this works, and I'm using it in summer as well. So keep it in mind. And my shade that I'm using is Tan 57. That's the shade I'm using. Not necessarily this is exact shade, but it works for me. Even though it's summer, I can still use this. I bought it in winter. If you're kind of my skin, similar to my skin, yeah, I think Tan 057 is the perfect color. And I'll be using Iconic London, this dense fluffy brush, buffing brush. Okay, so I am going to use super tiny bit. You can probably see. I hope you can see. I'm using super duper duper tiny bit of this foundation onto the brush, and see the magic, yeah? It's tiny bit light, but it matches with my neck, so it works. So you just need tiny bit onto the buffing brush and buff it into your skin. Okay, so back to what I was talking about, weight and body image. Okay, so what is beauty? Where does it all, all these standards, they come from? That this is the perfect body shape, this is the perfect body weight. And I'm going to share a very personal story with you. My teenage years, me looking at all those like models, actresses on TV, I always wanted to look like them. I always wanted to act like them. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to go Bollywood. Girls look up to models, beauty queens, or actresses. One time I read something in a magazine. That girl in the magazine doesn't even look like the girl in the magazine. Why do we constantly chase this perfection? Certain weight, certain figure. Why do we chase all that? Where does it all come from? Obviously, it comes from TV. They are showing us what is beautiful, what is acceptable. Certain standards related to beauty, certain standards related to appearance, which is quite sad actually. We should always focus on enhancing our true beauty, not just like masking it or trying to chase perfection and to become somebody else. And this is what I did, admiring other beautiful models and actresses, admiring their bodies, their color, their the way they act, the way they perform. In real life, it doesn't work like that, does it? Real life, we've got work, we've got kids, we've got life, which is beautiful. Life is not just only glamorous. Life is messy. Ups and downs. Life is vulnerable, So much that goes in creating your life and how you become what you're meant to be by facing all these challenges. Life is so much more than that. So yeah, looking at all those actresses, models, I thought, I wish if I could look like her. But it's not real. It's not real. There's so much that goes on, and we just kind of forget to look into the reality, and we kind of chase perfection because what we are being sold. Look at this foundation, how beautiful and seamless it looks. So just tapping it all into my skin. And look, it's so seamless. It is so like glowy and perfect, and still at the same time doesn't make it look like I've got so much makeup on, which is good, which is what we're aiming for now. Next thing I'm going to use is Love Tint by Benefit, and just blend it with the sponge. I like to do my blush before my concealer, so I can cover a lot more area, and then it just gives you a little bit more softer, lit from within, glow from within kind of look, like naturally flushed cheeks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Me personally as well, I was skinny, but I wasn't fit skinny, if that makes sense. I wasn't strong skinny. I was skipping my 1 to 2 meals a day, eating very little, and being very restrictive with food. Not a good relationship with food, because I didn't want to put on weight. I wanted to just at one point, I actually, before I got married, I kind of for a few months lived on water. I drinking fruit juices, thinking fruit juices are healthy, but it wasn't healthy. When I had my daughter, my first child, I gained so much weight. Okay, and I looked back at my pictures and I say, bloody hell, I used to think I was fat back then, and now after a child I'm like admiring my body, what I had. Why did I not live in peace and happiness? Like, wow, I look good. Again, living in fear. Fast forward, I had my second child. I was like, my goodness, I put on weight. What have I done? Looking back at the pictures, and I was like, my daughter, when she was born, I thought I was fat, but actually I look good in those pictures. I had a tiny little baby in my hands and I looked good. And I'm still chasing perfection now. Now my son, he's 6 years old. And yeah, still the same thing. I want to get fit, flatter tummy, tone arms, tone back, tone neck. Where does it all come from? We're constantly living in fear, chasing perfection, chasing beauty. But we are just forgetting to admire what we already are, who we already are, what we already have. I am guilty of that too, because when you look at beautiful girls and models with beautiful skin, even though it's edited, but brain doesn't process it like that. Which is quite sad actually, when we think about all this. It's quite sad how our body, how our mind feels about beauty, because these are the standards that's been set, and this is what we believe, what we need to have in order to be happy. Okay, now I'm using MUA Makeup Academy Pro Base Foundation Stick as my contour. Okay, so let's talk about second insecurity now. Skin appearance, aging, skin texture, or facial features. We see perfect skin on TV, on social media, and that's why people are doing more and more and more jobs on their faces. They want to be wrinkle free, they want to have plump lips, and kind of everybody is looking like each other nowadays. The individuality, perfection that we already have within ourselves, being our own unique selves, is far more beautiful. Who we naturally are is so unique and is so beautiful. Certain standards has been set from centuries, and this is what been sold, and this is what we believe in now. Like with aging, fear of losing your youthful beauty, feeling less desirable with age, worrying over wrinkles or grey hair. I actually started admiring how I look now. I started accepting myself as who I am. Yes, of course, I do have days when I struggle, when I compare myself, but then again, I have to remind myself who I really am, and shouldn't chase for something that somebody else has and I want to have that. I actually chase for peace in my mind. You know, I really wonder about things like why do people need others' approval to feel happy? Okay, so now I'm going to use my trusty NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Ginger. As you all know by now, I love this concealer. And I'm applying it underneath my eyes. I'm applying it underneath my eyes in the inner corner where I have the darkness. Now I'm going to use this Bailey brow shape gel to set my brows in place. So basically this comes in as a gel, but it's got a little well in the middle. Just swirl your brush around your spoolie, take some product and brush your hair up. You know, makeup for me is form of art, to enhance, to show who I really am. So I'm brushing all the hair up, and this brow gel actually, it stays in place all day long. Nothing else ever worked. I've tried so many brow gels, but my eyebrows, they are very, very stubborn. You know, no matter how much I try to set them, they always like go, you know, they go downwards. I've got my notes right in front of me, you know, at the moment, because it's just like my fourth video. And yeah, it is nerve-wracking when you just put up a camera and you're trying to film everything. And I'm just learning as I keep going along. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about, but whatever I say, it comes from my heart. That's the one thing I can say. And especially English is not my first language. So sometimes I feel I am rambling up a bit, or I am just saying something that doesn't make sense, or probably wouldn't make sense, but I'm just trying my best. So now I am filling up my brows with this NYX Lift and Snatch brow tint pen. Yeah, it's gone a little bit too high, but that's all right. It's just, you know, yesterday I did my eyebrows and I actually ended up cutting a little bit too much. Now I'm regretting it. Like, I should have left it. I overplucked as well, but never mind. Ow! You know what I want to create on my channel is, I want you to have fun with makeup. I want you to see makeup as a tool where you don't feel intimidated, and it brings in calm, healing energy within you. I think that's okay. I think today my eyebrows are a little bit like too pointy, but anyway. Oh yeah, so we were talking about facial features, aging and skin texture and all this. It all stems from TV and commercials and whatnot, but it comes from society as well. When I was growing up, mostly I've heard it from every other relative when they used to visit us. My goodness, look at you. Your nose is like your grandma. You've got big nose, you've got chubby nose, you've got fat nose. I heard so many times from people, and before that I would have never thought that I've got certain kind of nose shape and it's not preferable a perfect shape. But yeah, people telling me or saying that you've got fat nose, you've got big nose, you've got, you know, whatever nose they thought I had, made me question myself so much. I was so self-conscious about my nose. But then as I grew older, started going inwards and started looking at the beauty that I hold in my heart, it just made me think that was all like useless. That was just like putting fear and negativity in my mind. Okay, now I am going to blend away my concealer. Basically, this is what I figured out. It all stems from people selling a dream of perfection to people. But in fact, it's all a dream that we constantly chase to achieve, ultimately sacrificing our peace. So now just take a moment and think in your head. We are paying with our peace to all this negativity or all this toxic beauty standards that we've been sold. We are paying it back with self-doubt, fear. Now I'll be using my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder. But actually, yeah, before I do that, I am going to... So I'm using high-end and drugstore products just to give it a bit of variety, and Revolution Superfix Superhold Misting Spray, which I use every single day. I love this. It holds my makeup really well. It melts the makeup into your skin, but at the same time, making it last way longer. This is phenomenal. Let's talk about now self-worth and confidence. Comparison is the thief of joy. In personal or professional setting, this is what makes and breaks us. If we believe in ourselves, we can achieve whatever we want. But if we don't believe in ourselves because we are constantly comparing us to others, that's the thief of joy. And it's just keeping us stuck, and it's just making us feel worthless, killing our creativity. You know how we feel like we don't measure up to certain celebrities or influencers' filtered reality and their filtered and curated lives. Now just remember one thing. Insecurity is not your truth. It's a story that you've been told, and it's the story that you have believed, but it's not your truth. Okay, so now I'm using my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk eyeshadow palette, and I'm using this color. I love this bronzy brown pinky shade. I'm just gonna mix these two colors together. Just wash of color onto my eyelid with this very dirty brush, with this very dirty fluffy brush. The beauty standards that we have set in our minds are profitable illusions. And beauty industry feed on our insecurities. But your value was never meant to be measured by somebody else's lens. Let that sink in. Now, what I understand about beauty is energy. It's the light in your eyes when you speak your truth. It's the peace in your heart when you stop comparing yourself to others. It's the peace when you realize you are here to be authentic, and makeup is not to cover, but to enhance who you really are. Makeup is to honor your soul's temple. You're a masterpiece of divine design, and your light is your real power. So don't just glow up. Rise up, my goddess, rise up. You know, you must think these things, they sound good on camera, but in real, it doesn't work like that. I get you. I know it's hard, but we can only try. We can only try to break these illusions. Okay, so now with your sponge, blend away any creases that's been formed before we set it with our powder. And I'm using Airbrush Flawless powder with fluffy brush. I like to do this meaningful talk. Sometimes I think like maybe I think way too much, but I don't know. Sometimes life seems like an illusion. And especially, you know, the way social media is growing, the way everybody's kind of waking up to real love, real beauty, real happiness, real peace. Thank goodness it didn't break. You know, the way everybody's been waking up to real energy is actually quite beautiful, and I feel so grateful to be in the time zone where people are opening up a lot more, sharing their vulnerability, sharing their heartaches, sharing their learnings, their wisdom, and lifting each other up. You know, that really warms my heart when people just lift each other up, share their stories, and encourage each other to be the best they can be and to be authentic. That really feels happy and safe in my heart. Okay, so now I'm going to apply tattoo liner in color brown. This is from Maybelline eye pencil. I actually like to use brown pencil on my eyes day to day, daily. This is a really good look. Everything looks quite soft, subtle. And now onto my mascara, which is again L'Oreal Panorama. Since I got this mascara, I cannot put this down. I used to worry so much about my hooded eyes as well. Like, whoa, no, I've got hooded eyes. I need to get surgery. My eyelids are heavy. I used to think all that, but since I shifted my mindset from saying, oh, I've got hooded eyes, to I've got dreamy eyes. I'm very careful now what I say to myself, because I know what I say will be my reality. Doesn't matter how I'm seeing things, but saying, speaking, this is what's creating spells. And now I speak beauty to myself. I say, oh, I've got dreamy eyes. Dreamy eyes are very dreamy and soft, and you know. And I say I started falling in love with my eyes again. So affirmations, saying positive things to yourself without comparison, actually it does shift your mindset, because the way God created you perfect. And you're meant to be unique. We are not meant to be looking like each other. Slim nose, big lips, big eyes, big lashes, perfect skin, chiseled jawline, high cheekbones. No, we're not. We are not. So yeah, I don't know why I sacrificed my peace for all these unachievable beauty standards rather than appreciating what I already had. But now that I know what I have is unique, I'm making the most of it. A bit of mascara on my lower bottom lashes. My goodness, when I used to see other YouTubers doing makeup, I always dreamt like, wow, I would love to one day go on YouTube, do my makeup tutorial and talk about makeup, beauty. But I'm so glad I didn't, because back then I would have done the same thing as other people do. But now my mindset is totally different. Now, for the past basically, I would say 3-4 years, my mindset has been shifting so much that I stopped chasing this unattainable beauty standards, and now I go with what feels peaceful. Now I go with what feels happy. Now I go with what feels kindness to myself. I am moving on to lips. Charlotte Tilbury lip pencil in the shade Walk of No Shame. I love this color. This is really good. So I'm not overlining anything, just lining my lips very gently. And just smoothing it all out. Instantly it created the illusion of big lips. Makeup is fun. Makeup is magic. I really enjoy it. But daily, when we just chase certain kind of perfection to make things look bigger or smaller or thinner or whatever, this is what kind of breaks my heart. Yeah, but by the way, saying that, if it makes you feel happy that you're drawing your overlining your lips, not just because you want to fit in, only because it looks nice, only because it feels good, only because this is what you want to go for, or only because that's the one thing like you really want to, enhance. Why not? You do you. But don't fall for this perfect beauty. Okay, so now I'm using my Superstay Vinyl Ink lip gloss. This lip gloss actually lasts all day. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. And now I'm using my Charlotte Tilbury airbrush bronzer. Look, this is so big, and look how old this is. I disinfect my makeup. I love Charlotte Tilbury products. They scream luxury, beauty. And the one thing I love about Charlotte Tilbury is she doesn't mask faces as well. She enhances who you really are. The products she creates is just makes you look your more beautiful self, your more enhanced version of yourself, which I really love about. And that's why I really connect with this brand. And now again I'm using a bit fluffy brush. This is again Iconic London, very old brushes. I believe in minimalism. This is Urban Face blush. So I got this blush ages ago, probably when? Got this in 2018 actually, when we went to Italy and saw it in the shop, and I was like, wow, it looks so lovely, and I've been using it since then. I know with my personal makeup I hold on to products, but good thing is I use them every day, and I disinfect them, so it works for me. Using a tiny bit onto my eyes. I really want to get the Dior Backstage highlighter. I really want to get that. I haven't got my hands on that yet, but I've got Fenty Beauty highlighter. I think Diamond Bomb. No, How Many Carats? Diamond Bomb, yeah. So I'm going to use that with this tiny fluffy brush. A little bit of swirly whirly. Let me just quickly show you. This is a very beautiful highlighter. Ooh, look at that. I love it. Yeah, any kind of like shimmer and glitter, it just makes me very, very happy. I know it's a little bit too much for day to day. Sun is shining. I can't complain. It'll be nice. It's a little bit too glittery, but never mind. And yeah, basically this is it. This is my day-to-day makeup, and then I again set it with this Revolution Superfix spray. and this will last me the whole day. Actually, if I think about running around after the kids, cooking, cleaning, this makeup isn't going anywhere. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's session, and I hope it was helpful. Sometimes, you know, when you go through life, you just question things so much. And this is what's been going through at the moment when I work on people. And sometimes my mind wanders off and I'm like, what is all this? What is beauty? Why does everyone want to look good? Where does it all come from? You know, as a kid, when you question so much, and I've been going through the phase since I've been 40, I've been questioning so much. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's session. I hope you enjoy this little beauty routine that I do. This is my day-to-day look, and sometimes I just do this look for going out as well. So it works perfect. I hope you can hear me perfectly. I was filming on my phone and my battery, oh, I'm so lucky. Like literally last moment my battery ran out. Luckily I filmed everything, but if you can hear changes in voice, then obviously it's just because I'm not using my mic anymore. But yeah, before I wrap this all up, just wanted to say you are a spiritual being. You are spiritual beauty. And if you want to feel radiant and whole beyond this physical body, then stay tuned. If this touched your heart, please like, subscribe and share this video, and keep glowing together. Much love, my beautiful goddess. See you next time.